Hi, everyone. This is Idel Datloff, and I think, as you know, I am the creator and founder of Passitpro, the online social work license exam program. Right now, this is number 4 of our series of tips for the test. What are the 3 worst things you can say to yourself while you're taking the test? Now, that may be a strange question, but it really can help us figure out what is necessary and helpful and important to be able to do during the test. Okay, so the first really dangerous thing to say is, and these are 3 words, well, maybe if. You're reading the question, you're trying to understand what they're presenting, what's going on, and it's very natural to try to get deeper and closer into it. So you're saying, well, maybe if, let's say this couple has been arguing terribly for such a long time, maybe one of them, maybe the husband, maybe the wife, maybe they're having an affair. Well, that's possible. A lot of other things are possible. But if you're going to then use that, something that you've created and you've added to draw a conclusion, which will then lead you to maybe choose one answer over another, you're going to be in trouble. Because I think it's essential, and what I like to say is to hold the writers of the questions responsible for putting everything in that narrative of that question that is necessary for you to figure it out. And I think, most of the test question writers actually do a good job. So the further, or anything that leads you away from what's actually said and what's actually there, can be a dangerous move. Now, certainly, it may be a very good idea to draw a conclusion from what's in the question. That's usually very necessary. But drawing a conclusion and saying, well, maybe if, where you're adding stuff or things that are not based on the information that you're given, that's not such a good thing to do. So if you read a question and it says, Mr. Smith shuffled when he came into the room, his eyes were red, his face was puffy, and he smelled of alcohol, well, yes, you can conclude that he's been drinking recently. And that may tell you something very helpful and very accurate about the situation in this question at this moment. But don't go ahead and say, well, let's say he's been drinking, so maybe he and his wife aren't getting along, or maybe he's having trouble at his job. If there's no basis for that in the question, please be very cautious and don't throw that in. So that's number 1. I have been working with students a lot on Skype, some in person, for the last 10 years. And that has really helped me learn a lot about what the students do that work well for them and work not so well for them. And so that's what this first is about. Okay, the second thing that you should try very hard not to do is to say, and quote, at our agency, this is how we handle it. Where I work, you have to do it this way. At my hospital, the rules are this. Well, those are things, of course, that you know and that you follow at your place of employment, and that makes perfect sense. But you have to remember that this same exam is national. This test is going to be taken by people who work in all different kinds of settings, all different kinds of agencies, big, small, and in every state in the country, not to mention a couple of provinces in Canada as well. So in a way, this is a real advantage for you because they can't ask questions that have to do with policies that are only true in your state. How old does a person have to be before they're considered a minor or whatever? Everything in the questions have to be absolutely identical in every state in the country. And so any other things like especially policies, they can only ask about federal national policies. So of course, when you're trying to figure out what's the right thing to do for the social worker in the question, again, it's a natural thing for you to go to your experience, to your work. But please add to your thinking, is this action something that is a social work principle, that is accepted, valued social work practice everywhere, not just where you happen to be hanging out and living? Okay, that's number two. Well, maybe if, not so good to add. At our agency, here's how we do it. That's also potentially risky unless it passes the test that, hey, okay, I know that we do this here, but everybody does it. Okay, the last one, number three, is the whole thing about this acronym popularity. I think to say, wait, let me figure out what the acronym would do here is probably doing yourself a disservice. For example, if there was an acronym that worked all the time or 90% of the time, everybody would know it, everyone would use it, it would make the test a dream. But there's nothing that fits that test, so well at all. It just simply doesn't. When you're sitting in a room and you are working with people, one person, family, group of people, and you have an idea of what that session is going to be like, anything can change it. Somebody can say, wait a minute, we need to tell you something different has happened. So all of a sudden, while you're in an action mode, you're going to go back to an assess mode when something new comes up. So as many of you know who have taken my course or seen some of our other postings, I like to think of engage, assess, act as a very likely sequence. I think on the test, they really, really want to know that you're not going to jump to doing something, to acting, before you've done a very careful assessment. And very often, engage has to come before both of those. But sometimes a question that you read, engage might be very much a good answer, maybe the best answer, but then you look at the four choices and it's not there, so you can't pick it. As I described, assess doesn't always come only on the first time you meet or connect with somebody. Yes, it should start there, but many sessions later or many contacts later, when something new arises, you're going to have to go back to assessing. If an emergency comes, then you're going to act right away. You're not going to take the time perhaps to do an assessment if the house is burning down. So there just isn't any possibility that a long, detailed acronym is going to be the perfect guide for you. The truth is, you're going to have to trust yourself and your knowledge, not something like that kind of artificial thing. So these are the kinds of things that I have learned and figured out from working very closely with students, and they're just part of the kinds of unique benefits and help that you will find on Passitpro's online license course. Obviously, I hope this will pique your interest in the course. You can go to www.passitpro.com to find out more about it. And this is also, we are offering kind of a holiday special, a holiday gift to all of you. If you register for the course between now and the end, well, not the end, but we're doing it till December 24th, literally Christmas Eve. Register for the course now through Christmas Eve. Take the test by the end of February at the latest. Should you not pass, and we want to do everything possible, obviously, for you to pass, but should you not pass, you will receive a full refund for your course payment. Now that could be a really great holiday gift to you, to yourself. Now this is for the basic version of the course only. That version costs $195, and so I just want to make that clear. It's for that version of the course. If you have any questions about this promotion, go to the website, leave me a message, or post a comment on Facebook if you like, and I'll be happy to try to answer it. So happy holidays, happy December to everybody, and think about how to avoid doing those 3 really essential no-nos, if you like. I'll repeat them. Number 1, well, maybe if, and you're adding stuff. 2, at our agency, here's what we do. You're going local when you have to go universal. And number 3 is really stay away from the acronyms. Trust yourself more than a device like that. Okay, happy December, everybody. We'll be back next week.